Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem Oh Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Ito Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Ito Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for being here.
Hare Krishna. I say my humble obeisance.
All praise to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So can we start?
Yes, please. So I'm going to put it up.
Okay.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Narayana namaskritya narachaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Nashtaprayesha badresu nityam bhagavatam sevaya. Bhagavati hotamasloke bhakti bhavati naistiki. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. So we are reading from the SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, Canto 1, Chapter 14, entitled The Disappearance of Lord Krishna. And today we are treating text 37. Which says, Yad pada susana mukhya karmana satya dayo dvi asta sahasra yoshitaha nirijitya sanketri dasham stat asisom haranti vajrayuda valabo chitaha. Yad pada susana mukhya karmana Satya dayo dvi asta sahasra yoshitaha Nirijitya sanketri damsastat asisom Haranti vrajra yugda valabo chitaha Yat pada susana mukhya karmana Satya dayo dvi asta sahasra yoshitaha Nirijitya sanketri dasham stat asiso haranti vrajayuda valabo chitaha. Word for word translation. Yat whose, pada feet, shrushusana administration of comforts, mukhya the most important, karmana by acts of, Satya Adaya, queens headed by Satyabhama, Dvi Asta, twice 8, Sahasra, 1,000, Yoshitaha, the fair sex, Nirjitya, by subduing, Sankhya, in the battle, free darshan of the denizens of heaven. Tat asisaha, what is enjoyed by the demigods. Haranti, do take away. Vajra and Yuda Valabaha, the wives of the personality who controls the thunderbolt. Uchitaha, deserving. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Simply by administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is the most important of all services, the queens at Dwaraka, headed by Satyabhama, induced the Lord to conquer the demigods. Thus, the queens enjoy things which are prerogatives of the wives of the controller of thunderbolts. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Satyabhama, one of the principal queens of Lord Sri Krishna at Dwaraka, after killing Narakasura, Lord Krishna visited the palace of Narakasura, accompanied by Satyabhama. He went to Indraloka also with Satyabhama, and she was received by Sachi Devi, who introduced her to the mother of the demigods, Aditi. Aditi was very much pleased with Satyabhama, and she blessed her with the benediction of permanent youth as long as Lord Krishna remained on the earth. Aditi also took her with her to show her the special prerogatives of the demigods in the heavenly planets. When Satyabhama saw the Parijata flower, she desired to have it in her palace at Dwaraka. After that, she came back to Dwaraka along with her husband and expressed her willingness to have the Parijata flower at her palace. Satyabhama's palace was especially bedecked with valuable jewels, and even in the hottest season of summer, the inside of the palace remained cool, as if air conditioned. Yeah. She decorated her palace with various flags, heralding the news of her great husband's presence there. Once, along with her husband, she met Draupadi, and she was anxious to be instructed by Draupadi in the ways and means of pleasing her husband. Draupadi was expert in this affair because she kept 5 husbands, the Pandavas, and all were very much pleased and offered her good wishes and returned to Dwaraka. She was the daughter of Satyajit. After the departure of Lord Krishna, when Arjuna visited Dwaraka, all the queens, including Satyabhama and Rukmini, lamented for the Lord with great feeling. At this last stage of her life, she left for the forest to undergo severe penances. Satyabhama instigated her husband to get the Parijata flower from the heavenly planets, and the Lord got it even by force from the demigods, as a common husband secures things to please his wife. As already explained, the Lord had very little to do with so many wives to carry out their orders like an ordinary man. But because the queens accepted the high quality of devotional service, namely administering the Lord all comforts, the Lord played the part of a faithful and complete husband. No earthly creature can expect to have things from the heavenly kingdom especially the Parijata flowers, which are simply to be used by demigods. But due to their becoming the Lord's faithful wives, all of them enjoyed the special prerogatives of the great wives of the denizens of heaven. In other words, since the Lord is the proprietor of everything within his creation, it is not very astonishing for the queens of Dwaraka to have any rare thing from any part of the universe. Om Gyana Timeridasya Gyanan Gyana Shalakaya Chakshuramalitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yukta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunastam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitam Scha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swaminiti Namine Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Ashritatmane Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvise Sasuyavari Pasachade Satarini Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namini Gauratrise Namaha Nityanando Vatutendo Ravasuda Pranavala Baha Janaviri Jivita Pater Krishna Prema Pradam Prabhu Padmavati Sutta Srimam Sachirananda Purvajaha Bhavam Mata Jagatrakta Rakta Gora Kalevaraha Advaitam Harinadvaita Racharyam Bhakti Shamshanat Bhaktavataram Samarveta Acharya Ashraye Panchatattvamakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shatikam Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Pankajanabaya Nama Pankajamaline Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajagraye Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagarhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopita Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Jayatam Surato Pango Mama Mandir Gatir Masarvaswa Padam Bhujo Radha Mandana Mohano Divyar Vindaranya Kalpadrumada Srimad Gara Simhasanastau Sri Sri Radha Srila Govinda Devo Pristyalibi Sevyamano Smarami Shrimam Rasa Rasarambi Vamsivata Tatastita Karusan Venu Swanai Gopi Gopinata Sriyestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Bindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Devi Krishnamai Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarva Lakshmi Mayi Sarvam Kanti Samohini Paraham. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. Simply by administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is the most important of all services, the queens at Dwaraka, headed by Satyabhama, induced the Lord to conquer the demigods. Thus, the queens enjoy things which are prerogatives of the wives of the controller of thunderbolts. Bukam karoti vachalam, pangum lagayete grim, yat kripatamahan vande, Shri Guru Dina Taranam, Paramanam Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Akanda Mandalakaram, Vyatayina Characharam, Tatpadam Dashitam Yena, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So everyone is welcome to this afternoon or this morning SRIMAD Bhagavatam class. And before we proceed to say anything, for our own purification and probably for the benefit of the audience, we seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis on the platform so that we can execute this very important service of representing Krishna Dvapayana Vyasa, the literary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. So in this verse, we are informed that simply by administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord, which is the most important of all services, the queens at Dwaraka, headed by Satyabhama, induced the Lord to conquer the demigods. Thus, the queens enjoy things which are prerogatives of the wives of the controller of thunderbolts. So rendering service at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna is mentioned here to be the most important of all services. Krishna tells the gopis in the SRIMAD Bhagavatam, Mayi Bhakta Bhutanam Amrita Tvaya Kalpate, that rendering devotional service to me qualifies every living entity for eternal spiritual life. Rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead qualifies everyone to enjoy a blissful existence. And there are no better servants in rendering service at the lotus feet of Krishna than his 16,108 queens of Dwaraka. So it is said here that the queens at Dwaraka, headed by Satyabhama, induced by the Lord, render such service to the Lord that they induce the Lord to conquer demigods and make the pleasures of the demigods available to the queens of Dwaraka. In other words, by rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes dear to the Lord. And when one becomes dear to the Lord naturally reciprocates with his devotees. As the devotees are trying to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead with love, Krishna is also eager to serve his devotees with love. So it is said that there is always some competition between the Lord and his devotees. The devotees do everything possible for the pleasure of the Lord, and the Lord does everything possible for the pleasure of the devotees. And that is demonstrated here in this verse. That because the queens of Dwaraka, they render such wonderful service at the lotus feet of the Lord, Krishna reciprocated very wonderfully with them. So, Srila Prabhupada mentions Satyabhama is one of the principal queens of Lord Sri Krishna at Dwaraka. Actually, it is mentioned by Sanatana Goswami in his Brihad Bhagavatamritam that Lord Krishna has 4 kinds of servants. Ashrita Dasas. These are described as qualified servants. Devotees of the Lord who qualify themselves by their performances, by their loyalty, by their devotion. They qualify themselves to be under this category of Ashrita Dasas. These qualified servants include Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, Surya Dev, indeed, all the demigods and demigoddesses. They are described as Ashrita Dasas, qualified servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They earn the qualification or they earn the position by the quality of their services. And so the Lord engages them, authorizes them to be part of the universal administration. So to become a demigod, one has to qualify himself or herself in the service of the Lord in order to occupy the position of a ruling demigod. The next category is described as sheltered servants. Sheltered servants, these are divided into the Sharanagatis, the Jnana-nishtas, and the Seva-nishtas. Then we have the Parishada Dasas. These are the constant and trustworthy companions of the Lord, Parishada Dasas. And such devotees include Uddhava, include Daruka, include Satyaki, include Srutadev, include Vidura, and in fact, Satyabhama. Satyabhama is part of this Parishada Dasas, trustworthy companions of the Lord who follow the Lord wherever the Lord goes. They are always in the company of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in fact, even among these Parishada devotees, there are divisions. We have the Durya, those are the topmost direct servants. We have the Dhira, these are the steadfast servants, of which Satyabhama is one. And we have the Vira, these are the servants who are proudly unconcerned about others. Then the last of the four categories of servants is the Anugata Dasas. Anugata Dasas, these are obedient followers. They always consider the Lord as the master, Prabhu, and they are always compliant to the desires of the Lord. So Satyabhama belongs to the Parishada Dasas, the trustworthy companions of the Lord. So as we see Prabhupada describing in this purport, Satyabhama accompanied Lord Krishna to Narakasura's palace. And the same Satyabhama accompanied Lord Krishna to the heavenly planets, where she was nicely received by Sachi Devi, the wife of Indra. And Sachi Devi introduced Satyabhama to the mother of the demigods. The mother of the demigods is Aditi. Kasyapa Muni has many wives, but two of them, Aditi and Diti, they were sisters. Aditi, she became the mother of the demigods, and Diti became the mother of the demons. So obviously, Aditi is living with her sons in the heavenly planet. And so when Krishna and Satyabhama visited Indraloka and were nicely received by Sachi Devi, Sachi Devi decided to introduce her august guests, special guests, to her mother-in-law, which is Aditi. And Aditi was so happy to receive Satyabhama, the wife of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he began to show them all the opulences of the heavenly planets, including the Parijata garden, Parijata flower garden, which is always emanating such a powerful fragrance that cannot be resisted. So when Satyabhama entered the garden, the Parijata flower garden of Indra, she was attracted. The fragrance could not be resisted. And so she indicated she would like to have one of those flowers in her garden. Of course, he did not demand for it immediately. But when they came back to Dwaraka, Satyabhama indicated to Krishna that she would like to have one of those flowers in her palace. So Satyabhama is such a special devotee, a special servant, a special queen of Lord Krishna, belonging to the Parishada Dasas category, who are always constant companions, trustworthy companions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore they go everywhere with the Lord. Like Uddhava. Uddhava also belongs to this Parishada Dasas. It is said that Uddhava is a constant companion of Krishna. He was more or less like the prime minister of Dwaraka. And Krishna will not take any decision without consulting with Uddhava. In fact, Uddhava resembled Krishna in so many ways. His bodily hue, his age, his height, even the way Uddhava used to speak resembled that of Krishna's speech. So it was difficult for some of the residents of Dwaraka to differentiate between Uddhava and Krishna. So that was how close Uddhava was with Krishna. That when Krishna was disappearing from the planet, Uddhava was one of the two persons who witnessed the disappearance of Krishna, Uddhava and Maitreya. So Satyabhama is very expert in taking care of the Lord. Satyabhama is very expert in rendering service at the lotus feet of Krishna. Satyabhama is very expert in offering comforts for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So much so that she approached Draupadi. Even though she is very expert in satisfying the Lord, but she was always desiring to do better. So she approached Draupadi, the wife of the 5 Pandavas. She was actually anxious, as the Prabhupada writes, she was anxious to be instructed by Draupadi in how to handle or please a husband. Draupadi was expert in this affair because she had 5 husbands and she was able to please all of them very nicely. There was no confusion, no quarrel, no disunity whatsoever. She was so expert that she kept the 5 Pandavas under her control. So Satyabhama visited Hastinapur and wanted to learn from Draupadi how one can please the husband totally and subdue the husband by service. As we all know, Draupadi, she is a daughter, or she was a daughter of King Drupada. And in her previous life, she was Nalayani, and she received a boon from Lord Shiva that in her next life, she would have 5 husbands. And so in the next life, the boon Lord Shiva gave her materialized. And so she married 5 husbands. But she was so expert that she kept her 5 husbands under her control and satisfied them wonderfully, that there was no question of friction between the 5 husbands. And therefore, Satyabhama saw Draupadi as the epitome of a person who can take care of the husband. She is actually the epitome of womanly skills, having perfectly managed the 5 Pandavas. And therefore, Satyabhama wanted to learn the art of pleasing her husband from Draupadi. So, of course, we also know that Draupadi is said to be an expansion of Lakshmi Devi. Being the expansion of Lakshmi Devi is very expert in massaging the lotus feet of Narayan. Actually, Lakshmi Devi, her main service is just to massage the lotus feet on Lord Narayan. She takes great pleasure in massaging the lotus feet of Lord Narayan. And because she does such a wonderful service, Lord Narayan keeps her on his chest. The resting place of Lakshmi Devi is the chest of Lord Narayan because of her special service and the lotus feet of Narayan. So, Satyabhama approached Draupadi to learn that art of womanly skills in order to take care of her transcendental husband, Krishna. And she was very satisfied when she received instructions from Draupadi. So it is interesting that Satyabhama, being the queen of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, had to go to learn how to take care of her husband from Draupadi. So in this scenario, the lesson is we should be eager to learn from whoever can teach us how to render better service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Satyabhama was ready to learn from Draupadi whatever was necessary in order to render better service at the lotus feet of Krishna. Even though they were already expert, it is mentioned, simply by administering comforts at the lotus feet of the Lord, they were able to induce Krishna to make available all the pleasures of the demigods in Dwaraka. Yet, Satyabhama had to approach Draupadi in order to learn more, in order to receive instructions, in order to become more expert in the service of her transcendental husband. And she did that so nicely. She pleased Krishna so nicely that when she asked Krishna for the Parijata flower, Krishna immediately proceeded to Indraloka. And by force, Krishna took the Parijata flower from Indraloka. And there was a war. Indra would not accept. Indra was under illusion, thinking that how can Krishna take the Parijata flower to the earthly planet? This Parijata flower is not meant for the earthly planet. It is only meant for the heavenly planets. So this is an abomination. How can the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Radha and Krishna, come and take the plants of the heavens to the earthly planet? So Indra resisted. And in fact, a battle ensued between Indra and Krishna. But to please his dear wife, to please his dear devotee, Krishna fought violently and defeated Indra and brought the Parijata flower, which was planted in the palace of Satyabhama. And that distinguished Satyabhama's palace from all the other palaces in Dwaraka. 16,108 palaces, Satyabhama's palace was the best because of this Parijata flower. From that palace, the fragrance of the Parijata spread throughout the city of Dwaraka. As a result of her dedicated service to the lotus feet of Krishna, Krishna reciprocated with Satyabhama. So it is said, Kim alabam Bhagavati Prashanesri Nirketane. What is unattainable for one who has satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Kim alabhyam Bhagavate Prashanesri Nirketane. What is impossible to achieve by a person who has completely satisfied the Supreme Personality of Godhead? If we are able to satisfy Lord Sri Krishna, there is nothing impossible in this world. And even in the next world, nothing is impossible. So because Satyabhama was able to satisfy Krishna with her devotion, with her dedication, Krishna was prepared to even fight with the demigods, with Indra, to make sure that Satyabhama's palace stood out of all the palaces of the queens in Dwaraka. So, Satyabhama is a special queen, a special devotee, a special servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In fact, It is said that when Satyabhama learned the art of pleasing a husband, she increased her services. She increased her devotion, dedication to the service of Krishna. She performed such wonderful devotion at the lotus feet of Krishna that Krishna could not resist whatever Satyabhama wanted. So, by the example of Satyabhama, we can understand that if we can please Krishna totally, and we can please Krishna nicely, Krishna will go to any length to reciprocate with us. When Rupa Goswami was writing his books to glorify Radha Madhava, she put together the pastimes of Vrindavan and the pastimes of Dwaraka. Rupa Goswami, Lila Madhava, Rupa Goswami describes both the pastimes in Dwaraka and the pastimes of Vrindavan. She describes Krishna's relationship with the gopis in Vrindavan. He describes Krishna's relationship with Satyabhama and the other queens in Dwaraka. But Satyabhama wanted Rupa Goswami to separate these dramas. Actually, because of Satyabhama's attachment to the service of Krishna, when Krishna appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Satyabhama also came. One may ask, how did she come and what service did she do? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu married one wife at a time. She married, I think Lakshmi Priya first, he passed away, he married Vishnu Priya. So he married one wife at a time. So what role did Satyabhama play in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? It is said that Jagannatha was the incarnation of Satyabhama. Because of his attachment to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and because of the distinction of service she was able to render, she came along with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but this time not as a queen, but she came as a male servant, and that was Jagannatha Pandit. There are many instances that we saw that Jagannatha Pandit wanted to render the same service that Satyabhama was rendering to Lord Krishna. Jagannatha always wanted to provide Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with sandalwood oils, with special perfumes. He always wanted Lord Chaitanya to eat nicely, dress nicely. Unfortunately, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a sannyasi, and so he could not use these things. And so Jagannatha Pandit was always unhappy that he could not serve the Supreme Lord as he served him in the form of Satyabhama. So it is said that there were constant quarrels between Jagadananda and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Jagadananda, being an incarnation of Satyabhama, wanted to please him in all ways. But Lord Chaitanya's position as a sannyasi, he could not go beyond certain social etiquettes. So it is said there are many dealings of Jagannatha Pandit with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But most importantly, he was the Lord's constant companion. When Lord Chaitanya took sannyas and left Mayapur, Jagannatha Pandit was one of the 6 people who followed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Puri. And he was always present in the house of SRIVAS Pandit when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would perform his nocturnal kirtans. He was always present. And so when Mahaprabhu took sannyas and left for Puri, Jagannatha followed him to Puri. So that affectionate exchange between Jagannatha Pandit and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a reflection of the loving service that Satyabhama rendered at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. And actually, Rupa Goswami was writing his book, and it's a drama, and he wanted to bring together the pastimes of Vrindavan and the pastimes of Dwaraka. He wanted to bring both drama together, Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan and Krishna's pastimes in Dwaraka. At that time, Rupa Goswami was traveling from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri. So he got to a village called Satyabhama Puri, and there he slept. He took some short rest. And while he was resting, a beautiful lady appeared in the dream of Rupa Goswami. And informed Rupa Goswami that he has to divide the drama into 2. He should write separate drama glorifying the pastimes in Dwaraka, and a separate drama glorifying the pastimes in Vrindavan. So when Rupa Goswami woke up, he understood this is Satyabhama giving me instructions. It is said that if one wants to serve Krishna in the Madhurya Ras, one has to approach Satyabhama. When a devotee desires to render service in Madhurya Bhav, he has to become an associate of Satyabhama in Dwaraka, serving her and Krishna in Swakiya Bhava, that is a marriage Madhurya. Swakiya Bhava is Madhurya mixed with Aishwarya Gyan. And by rendering devotional service in the Raga Marg, a static devotional service, a devotee becomes gradually elevated to the platform of serving Srimati Radhika. So if a devotee wants to perform Parakiya Bhava, unwedded love with Krishna, then he has to become an associate of Satyabhama. And by becoming an associate of Satyabhama, Satyabhama will teach her how to serve Krishna in Parakiya Bhav. And by engaging in this Raga Marg, pure devotional service, a devotee gradually progresses to this Parakiya Bhav, which is the Bhav of Srimati Radharani and the Gopis of Vrindavan. Madhurya Bhav is of two levels, Parakiya and Swakiya. Swakiya means married or wedded love. And Parakiya means unwedded love. And that is considered the purest of the Madhurya ras. So therefore, Satyabhama plays a very crucial role. By his distinguished service to Krishna, he trains others how to serve Krishna and Swakiya Bhav, and ultimately the devotee rises to the platform of Parakiya Bhav. So we can understand that this Satyabhama ji, she is such a special servant of the Lord. She knows how to please Krishna so nicely that even in dreams, she guides Rupa Goswami how to write his Lalita Madhava, how to write his drama, describing the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan and describing the pastimes of Krishna in Dwaraka. And in this way, Satyabhama stands out as one of the dearest queens of Krishna. And as sadhakas, we can always pray to Satyabhama to guide us, to direct us, how we can become better servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, she is an expert in devotional service. She knows how to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And she wins over Krishna by her devotional service. And therefore, Krishna is also prepared to do anything for her. And that should be our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should win over Krishna by our love and devotion. And that would attract Krishna's attention. And that would bring us closer and closer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the lesson and message this particular verse is offering us this afternoon. And on this note, I will end here. If there are any comments or questions, they are welcome. Hey, Kusha Prabhu, I fear your beard.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the wonderful class as usual. I don't know how much time we have, but me alone, I have at least 9 questions.
Wow.
For the class. And it's not my fault because we did such a wonderful class that creates some sort of volcanic eruption of questions. And so my first question is, well, like I said, thank you so much for the class. And it's amazing, it's very appropriate that you spoke and you spoke the way you spoke, because yesterday was Mother's Day. And so we want to use this opportunity to say belated happy Mother's Day to all our mothers on this platform. And today we're hearing about the transcendental position of women headed by Satyabhama. Now, my question here is, what do we learn from Satyabhama and Krishna's pastimes, where Satyabhama compelled Krishna to fight Indra to bring down the Parijata flower? Yesterday, Loka, my wife, was asking me to give her a car for Mother's Day. You know. She asked me to offer her a car for Mother's Day gift. And I said to her, I don't have money to buy you a car. Now, Krishna, because Satyabhama asked for the Parijata flower, even when he had to fight Indra to bring down the Parijata. Now, what do I do to satisfy my wife when she's asking me for something that I cannot afford? What do we do? What do we do as a husband when our wives are asking us for things that we cannot afford? Do we have to, whether hook or crook, do everything to get it? From this my question, please. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Anyway, it's an interesting question. Thank you very much. According to the Vedic tradition, a husband should do everything to please a wife. According to Vedic tradition, it is said that the husband should provide ornaments, nice ornaments. The husband should provide nice dressing. Husband should provide nice food, nice accommodation. That is the responsibility of the husband. But of course, it does not mean that if the wife is demanding for something the husband cannot afford, he should go stealing or killing just to provide for the wife. At least we may want to say Krishna set an example by fighting Indra to bring the Parijata flower for his dear wife Satyabhama. We may say that, we may want to use that as an example, but actually the situation is completely different, because Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is nothing impossible for Krishna. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Kartum akartum Jagannath yena hara. That, see, Jagannath, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can do and undo anything. He is not limited. Kartum akartum. He can do and undo. So therefore, even though Satyabhama was demanding for something impossible, but because the husband is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna can do and undo. So he went all the way to heaven, uprooted a tree from Indra's garden, and began to walk away with it. And Indra said, no way, this will not happen. And Krishna said, no way, this will happen. And so a very fierce battle ensued. And Indra was defeated. Actually, Indra was disgraced. And Krishna left with the flower. So because he's the Supreme Lord, so therefore, we should not expect that our earthly husbands, our human husbands, can also do things like Krishna. No. At least, whatever we want from our husband, we have to ask him, my dear husband, I'd like to have this, or I'd like to have that. Can you afford? If he says yes, then that's wonderful. Yeah. Or at least, if he cannot immediately, he might give some time. He might say, right now, I cannot, but in the future, I will. So some discussions should be there. we cannot compare Krishna's situation with our earthly situation. Then we will subject our husbands to such austerity, such difficulty, and we may compel them to act against religious principles, and that is not accepted. So Krishna's example is there, but Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we cannot copy his example because he is beyond our understanding, beyond our power. When the demigods and the demons, they were to churn the milk ocean in order to get wonderful gifts from the ocean. They needed a churning rod. And the Lord told them that the Mandara mountain would be the suitable churning rod. So they should go and bring the Mandara mountain to the milk ocean. So all the demigods and the demons, they joined hands and they went to Mandara mountain and they lifted it. But the mountain fell on them and killed many of them. So when Krishna saw that his devotees were being mashed by the mountain, Vishnu, he just went there and with one hand, he picked up the mountain and put the mountain on the wings of Garuda and brought it to the ocean of milk, to the surprise of the demigods and the demons, because thousands and millions of them were trying to lift this mountain and they couldn't. Many of them were killed because the mountain fell on them. But Krishna just picked the mountain like a mushroom and put it on the wings of Garuda, and Garuda flew with the mountain to the milk ocean and put it there. So we can never compare our strength with the strength of the Supreme Lord. Neither can we compare our achievements with the achievements of the Supreme Lord. He's in a different category of beings. So therefore, wives should not compel their husbands or maybe compare their husbands with Krishna and expect them to do as Krishna did. But at least the basic needs for a woman must be met by the husband. That is the Vedic recommendation. I don't know whether I have tried to answer your question.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji. I think it's very perfect, at least to me, very, very perfect. And I hope my Thakis are all listening keenly.
They're hearing.
Yeah, they give us the necessary break sometimes. Hare Krishna. Krishna Prabhu, please unmute and go ahead. Krishna Prabhu.
Arisa Maharaj, thank you very much for your class.
Hare Krishna, I'm afraid of your beard.
Thank you. We're making progress. Maharaj, my question is on the issue of Draupadi with 5 husbands.
Yes.
I found that very interesting because in Africa we are polygamous in nature, not in the Western world. When a man marries 5 wives, people say, "Oh, he has so many wives." But in very scripture, a woman marries 5 husbands, and she's considered to be pure devotee, and people have to learn from her. So, but now my question now is, because she married 5 wives,
5 husbands.
I mean 5 husbands.
Yeah.
Is that not greediness and selfishness? Because like Sister said, the wife wants a car. So all the 5 husbands will also buy her things on Mother's Day, only her.
Well, thank you, Prabhu. It's circumstantial. Draupadi's marriage was circumstantial. Of course, in a previous life as Nala Yani, she was performing tapasya to please Lord Shiva, and while she was performing tapasya, Lord Shiva wasn't appearing to her. And so she was emphasizing. She wanted a husband, but she said it 5 times. because Lord Shiva wasn't appearing. And so the 5 times she said it, Lord Shiva said, Tatastu, you have asked me 5 times, so you're going to get 5 husbands in your next life. So that's a circumstantial situation. And because of that, when Arjuna won her hand, he was so excited. He just went and informed the mother, mother, I have got a special gift. And Queen Kunti, she did not look back to see what the gift was. He just said, share with your husband, with your brothers. At least if she had looked back to see there's a woman, she wouldn't have passed that order. But because Draupadi had asked for 5 husbands in the previous life, and the karma must work out, let's put it that way, Kunti did not even look back. As soon as he just heard Arjuna say, I have got a special gift, he said, okay, share with the 5 brothers or 4 brothers. And that was it. It could not be changed. So this is a circumstantial situation. It is actually very uncommon. We don't find such in the Vedic literatures. It is uncommon, but we can also say Krishna arranged it. Krishna has his reason for arranging that. You see, because Draupadi became the wife of the Pandavas, actually Draupadi should have been the wife of Duryodhana. Duryodhana was also a competitor. During the Swayamvara ceremony of Draupadi, Duryodhana was there, and he was eyeing at Draupadi. He wanted to become the fortunate man who would marry Draupadi. Even Karna was there. Karna was superior to Arjuna in shooting, and so he is supposed to have actually married Draupadi. If it were actually shooting, Karna would have taken Draupadi. But Krishna wanted the Pandavas to own that expansion of Goddess Lakshmi. He did not want Duryodhana, he did not want Karna. So Karna was disqualified, that his Varna was not known. The Swayamvara ceremony was for the Kshatriyas, royal order, and your Varna is not known, you are coming to compete. Draupadi said she would not entertain him. So he became offended and he left. He did not participate. But Duryodhana failed and Arjuna won. So we can say that Krishna wanted Draupadi to marry the 5 Pandavas. And because Draupadi married the 5 Pandavas, Duryodhana became more envious of the Pandavas. In fact, it is said that the offense the Kurus committed at the lotus feet of Draupadi was the cause of the destruction of the Kuru dynasty. So Krishna was setting the scene for annihilating the Kuru dynasty by allowing Draupadi to marry the 5 Pandavas. And that increased the envy of Draupadi, that they actually offended Draupadi in the assembly of the Kurus. They wanted to see her nakedness. And that was a big offense. And because of that offense, the whole Kuru dynasty was destroyed. So we can say that Krishna's hand was inside this 5 husbands situation. It's called polyandry. We have polygamy is marrying many wives, and polyandry is marrying many husbands. It's a very rare occurrence. It doesn't happen. In fact, if you go through the whole Vedic literature, it is about 1 or 2 of such things happening. So it's a rare occasion, and so it should not be imitated. It should not be copied, because Krishna was personally involved in this arrangement so that the Kuru dynasty would be annihilated.
Can I be said that Draupadi is the cause of the war of Kurukshetra because Judah wanted to marry her and she married the other people? She caused the war, actually.
Yes. Actually, it is said so. That lady called Krishna, actually, Draupadi was also called Krishna. She is Panchali, she is Krishna, she has many names. But it is said that lady called Krishna will cause the destruction of the Kuru dynasty. And she was actually responsible for that war. Krishna used her as an instrument to annihilate the Kuru dynasty. It's true.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Kavikanapur Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhu.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
How is
please,
Abuja?
Yeah,
All glory to Guru Prabhupada. How is my
all glory
friend
to you,
Muhammad Buhari? How is Buhari? Yes,
it's fine in Aso Rock.
Aso Rock.
Yes, all right. So yes, so we are still waiting for you also to come and give us your blessing in this place, this part of the world.
Well, we are planning. Actually, since the corona is going down, we are planning to visit Nigeria. For the last 2 or 3 years, I have not gone to my second home. So
please,
we are planning.
Please come.
You hear
please come.
from us, you hear from us soon.
We are anxious to receive you in this part of the world. In Abuja, especially, you can preach in Abuja here. So my question is, the Krishna taking Parijata from the heavenly planet. So I'm observing that scene in an administration way, an administrative way. What I'm seeing in that scene is that we remember in the pastime of Krishna, when Krishna was small, Krishna was forced Indra to his knee. So to his knee. So Indra know that Krishna is the supreme. That one was already established when he was small. So but now Krishna going to his Indra abode to go and take Parijata and Indra gave a fight. I begin to analyze that scene. It's like maybe a regional secretary, he likes something in a particular temple, and he decided to take it. And the temple president gave a fight, say, no, you cannot take it. I'm the temple president of this area. Yeah. Even though that battle happens between that in that scene, but still that does not mean that they become antagonistic to each other. But the battle was just about that particular thing. So how can we apply this in our own administration in a way that we will not take things personal, even when there is some differences in our opinion in terms of management? Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Kavikanapuru, for your question. Actually, in administration, there will always be different opinions. That is for sure, because we see from different angles. But as you just said, we should not allow the difference of opinion or difference of perception to affect our relationship. Because administration means you are trying to put things right. You are trying to achieve a goal. You have an object or objective you want to accomplish. And everyone sees it from a different angle. So as we give the example, maybe the regional secretary, we have seen these things before. A regional secretary wants to take a devotee from one temple to another temple that needs the services of that devotee. And the temple president is attached to the devotee. He said, no, you cannot take. And then there is some misunderstanding, there is some tension, because the regional secretary says, we need certain amount of manpower in a particular situation. You have enough manpower, please spare one devotee so that the project can go on. And because he is superior in authority, he takes the devotee anywhere. So this are bound to happen. Things like this are bound to happen in administration, in our day-to-day dealings, and so on. But we should not allow these perceptions, differences to disturb our devotional relationship. It's a fact. We should not allow. Actually, I ran into a situation like this in Chicago. When we were in Chicago, 2003, Kalki Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple, was the temple president. And Ramapad Maharaj was a GBC. So Kalki Prabhu was preaching to some Brazilian devotees, Brazilian citizens who were in America, and made about 10 devotees in the Chicago temple. And they all took initiation from Ramapad Maharaj. And so there was the need to send some devotees to another temple. So Ramapad Maharaj came and took some devotees from the Chicago temple. At that time, we were in Chicago. I was assisting the temple president, Sunil Madhava Prabhu. I think he's no more the president now. And so all this I got to know. So, I mean, before Sunil Madhava took over, it was Kalki Prabhu. So when Ramapad took away the disciples to another temple, Kalki Prabhu became very disturbed and he resigned. He resigned as a temple president. So when we went there, he approached me and he told me his story. Why he resigned. He said he was just a past temple president, but because of this and this and this, he resigned. So he's a Prabhupada disciple, so I couldn't talk to him very much. But I told him that, Prabhu, see, whatever service we do, we must do with detachment. He's a GBC. He's the boss of the zone. So if he wants devotees to be moved from one temple to another, he understands the manpower need of each of the yatras. And he's doing that to please Srila Prabhupada. And our duty is to assist him in pleasing Prabhupada. So therefore, if I were in your position, I told him, if I were in your position, I wouldn't have resigned. I can only let him know that at least I'm making the devotees so that we can expand the preaching in Chicago, and you have taken majority of them away. So I'm feeling discouraged. And you can speak your mind to him so that next time he'll be very careful in doing such a thing. But when you resign and say you're not going to do the service again, you think Srila Prabhupada will be very happy with you that you've dropped the service as a temple president because your GBC has taken devotees away from this temple? He felt a bit guilty when I asked him that question. He couldn't give me the direct answer. But as I said, these things are always bound to happen. A superior authority would give some order, a superior authority would demand something, and a junior devotee or a junior authority may also have a different opinion, and this may conflict, but we should not allow it to create bad blood, create friction, create, these things don't go well with bhakti. They don't. As soon as you start bearing grudge with another devotee, it's going to affect your bhakti. So therefore, this Indra's example, actually, I think Srila Jiva Goswami commented on it in one of the Sandarbhas. He said that Indra was not supposed to have reacted the way he acted, because he had already learned a lesson from the previous interaction. When he wanted to kill all the Brijabasis with the flood, and Krishna picked up the Govardhan hill as an umbrella and protected the residents of Vrindavan, Indra should have learned a lesson from that. And so even if Krishna come taking his house, he should just keep cool. But somehow he reacted the way he reacted. And Krishna defeated him and went away with the Parijata flower. So these things are always bound to happen in life. You know, we have different perceptions, different understanding, different situations will always come up. But the point that you are making is that it should not create bad blood. It should not create friction between devotees. Because what is the goal of our activities? The goal of our activities is to please Krishna, is to please Srila Prabhupada. So we should do things in such a way that it doesn't affect our own bhakti. That's the point. Any other comment?
Thank you very much, Maharaj. I'm very good.
Govinda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, happy to see you.
Happy to see you, SRIVAS Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Actually, I don't tell you, but I'm very, very proud, and I believe we are all very, very proud having you as our God brother.
No.
And we are proud.
I'm proud to have all of you wonderful souls.
we are proud and happy that Krishna sent you to Africa, particularly West.
No.
We have such a pillar.
No.
And you can be proud to tell people. Have you heard of SRIVAS VANACARI? He is from Ghana. He's from West Africa.
Mercy, but Tita Maharaj's mercy. If I forget that, I'm in trouble. I told you a story. How about Tita Maharaj rubbed my head with his 2 hands? That is the mercy he gave me. That's the mercy I'm still depending on. Without that mercy, I'm nowhere.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
You are the embodiment of smart Bhagavatam.
Hare Krishna. I'm still learning. I'm a student. I'm still a student. Ganga Prasad is a student. He's a good student. He can represent the Bhagavatam properly. Yes, Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yes. I wanted to.
Krishna, please unmute.
Krishna Maharaj.
Thank you.
I'm coming back to the issue of Draupadi.
Okay.
Personally, because of her qualities as a devotee, we always talk about men maintaining women. But I want to ask, how do we, people like us, find a qualified Draupadi among the assembly of devotees to marry? Where can we find them? Where can we find such women? Because it seems that they will have to do something.
Krishna, can your question be answered?
Hey, Maharaj, what do you say?
I'm saying that your question, the answer is difficult to find. I would attempt.
Because the issue is that you were saying that a man has to take care of his wife, which is good.
Yes.
But if he cannot afford it, he shouldn't steal, he shouldn't do anything. It seems to me all the pressure is always on the man. Pressure. But me personally, I want to bring down some demigod very soon. Where can I find a Draupadi?
You have very high goals. Your goals are very high. Kusha Prabhu. What I would say is that Draupadi is the expansion of Mother Lakshmi, and only such exalted devotees like the Pandavas. Actually, there's another aspect of it, because Draupadi is an expansion of Mother Lakshmi, and Mother Lakshmi is for Narayan. And the Pandavas, they are devotees of Narayan. So one devotee is not enough. One devotee is not enough. So 5 devotees have to come together to play the role of Narayan. So if you want somebody like Draupadi, you must be a combination of the 5 Pandavas. Then only are you qualified to have Draupadi.
There was this story in the Bhagavatam.
Yes.
I forgot the name of this sage that built a sky for the wife, a palace. Is it Takuti and who? Kadamba Muni?
Kandara Muni, yes. Kandara Muni.
Yeah. He first of all built a palace in the sky for Kadamba Muni before he even gave her a child. I have built a palace. Where is the Draupadi now? I am looking for a Draupadi in ISKCON. Where is the person?
Okay, all right. Once you have made it known, we will consult all the astrologers in ISKCON to see if they find any semblance of a Draupadi anywhere in the world. They will connect them to you. We will pass out the information to all the astrologers in ISKCON that we are looking for a semblance of a Draupadi for a special devotee Kusha Prabhu. He has already built a palace as huge as that of Kandamamuni's palace, 7-story palace. We will spread the news and see how you can get your Draupadi.
Well, Krisha, we thank you for starting the week in a very jovial manner. Thank you so much. Praviti, my question, I have one. I told you I have 9 questions. I can't answer. I can't ask them all.
Okay.
But I think I'll ask the second and hopefully the last question I have, okay, and then others may ask. And that is, Africa as a continent does not have a very good positive image around the world.
That's true.
And it's sometimes very disheartening to see some things that Africans continue to do. And my question is, how much is what we see being practiced in the Vedic days to be bona fide, appropriate, as opposed to just a culture or a tradition? Because Aditi, you talked about Aditi and Diti, they are sisters.
Yeah.
They are all daughters of, what's the name of this? Sati's husband. What is Sati's husband?
Sati's father, Daksha.
Daksha, yeah, they are all daughters of Daksha.
Yeah.
Prajapati Daksha. And Prajapati Daksha offered 17 or 16, I think 16 of his daughters to one man, Kashyapa. Now, what do we learn? What do we learn from such example where a man gives 2 of his daughters to a same man for marriage? Just like in our saying about Africa, in today's modern world, there is some part of Africa where, I mean, it's said that people who are civilized will always cover their private part. But we have certain traditions in Africa in today's modern world. Grown up women, they will expose their breasts and be dancing. And everybody is watching in public. And it doesn't really speak well of us as Africans, but it's a tradition people follow. So my question is, do we simply have to follow things because they were done in the Vedic age? Or there is some sort of streamline to see what is to be practiced and what is not to be practiced? I don't know if you get my question. It's kind of disheartening sometimes to see some of these African cultures.
Yeah, see, it is said that the world had one culture 5,000 years back. There was Vedic culture throughout the whole world. There are a lot of research that is going on. And there are many papers written that describes how the Vedic scriptures or Vedic culture permeates the entire world. In bygone years, but today we only have traces of it in almost every part of the world. But this Vedic culture, over a period of time, has been watered down to what we are now seeing today. But the original culture of the people is the Vedic culture. So because of these watered down cultures, we now have pockets of different kinds of cultures that are even not presentable. Just as you gave the example, women dancing naked in front of men, and it is considered a culture, and people sit down and watch it. So the Vedic culture, which is the standard culture, the culture of the world, has been watered down, and it has become something else. But now with the spread of Krishna consciousness, at least we have some information, we have some knowledge, we have some understanding what the Vedic culture is. And so if we continue to spread this Vedic culture as given to us by Srila Prabhupada, then I think by the end of 10,000 years, as predicted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, things may be restored. The Vedic culture may be restored. But right now, there are many cultures, especially in Africa, and of course throughout the world, that are no more in line with the Vedic culture. They have completely deviated from the Vedic culture, and people are carrying them out. Of course, you can always see some traces. Some traces are there. The issue of Shraddha, doing something for the forefathers, the deceased, the worship of demigods, respect for elders, respect for sadhus. These traces are still there to some degree in every part of the world, which are the remnants of the Vedic culture. But much of the Vedic culture has been watered down, and in some primitive situations, it is just not very palatable to see what is going on there. So there's little we can do except trying to spread this Vedic culture everywhere. And hopefully people will receive it and they will begin to follow it, and that will bring back the standard Vedic culture throughout the world. That is actually the culture that would bring peace, is a culture that would help everybody. But the present situation we find ourselves in is very worrying, because there are different things that are performed in different parts of the world that are actually anti-culture, yet they are accepted as culture. So as devotees, we can make a change by this Sankirtan movement, by preaching and distributing Srila Prabhupada's literatures. Gradually, people will read, people will adopt, and then things will change. That is my understanding, my perception. Others may have different ways of seeing the same issue.
Thank you,
Hare
sir.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
sir.
Krishna.
Anadi Nidanam, please, you may unmute.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anandini Nandanam. Prabhu.
Thank you very much. This is something I find very worrying. This morning I posted Srila Prabhupada with one of his charts to the Hare Krishna Africa platform, whereby initiation is about to take place, and there is this little child who has put in his hand in his mouth.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes, and Srila Prabhupada said they have to take him out and wash him. So as far as offenses and rules and regulations are concerned within our temple premises during rituals, and according to the letter of instructions, so there are number 8, there are some offenses also there. Can we then say that's because of your chanting the Mahamantra, so those rules and regulations are no more needed? Because based on my observation at Media Yatra, we don't give a damn to this etiquette and offenses at all. Even yesterday at the temple, one person brought a dog to the temple. At least you're about to take the dog into the temple room. So can we then say, because of your chanting Mahamantra, for that matter, we don't give a damn to these offenses? Actually, I have 2 questions. So this is my first one. Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you for your question, Anandini Nandanam. Prabhu. Offenses are meant to be avoided. Otherwise, Rupa Goswami will not take so much trouble giving us a list of offenses in the Nectar of Devotion. So we cannot say that because we are chanting Hare Krishna, therefore we don't care about offenses. No. Actually, the more we are careful about these offenses, the more we can become more aligned with the practice of Krishna consciousness. So it is the responsibility of the management to educate people. Probably this guy who came with a dog, he has no education. He does not know that animals are not entertained in the temple. If he knew, he would have acted differently, but he is not aware. If he knows and he still does like that, then that is unfortunate. But in most cases, people don't know what to do, and so they commit such offenses. So it is our responsibility, we the leaders, managers, seniors, to educate people in general about the principles of bhakti and about offenses that are to be avoided, so that we can make substantial progress on the path of bhakti. We cannot say that because we are chanting Hare Krishna, we can commit any offense and go scot-free. No, it will affect our japa. Why do we say offensive chanting? Why do we say namabas? And why do we say offenseless chanting? Chanting is on the 3 levels: aparadnam, abhasnam, and sudanam. When we chant on offenses, there is some benefit, but we cannot make substantial progress on the path of bhakti. It is only when we get to the level of namambas. Namambas means offenses have stopped, but we have not yet entered the zone or the region of Sudanam. We are just in between. But then it's a clearing stage, and one is sure to enter into pseudonym zone. So offenses have to be avoided. Otherwise, the acharyas will not take so much time trying to explain to us what we should avoid and what we should not avoid. So it is our responsibility to educate people about offenses if we really want to help them make progress in Krishna consciousness.
All right, thank you very much. So
you're welcome. Second question.
Yeah, to my next question. Okay. So what role does tribute or glorifications that we always offer play after the demise of our loved ones? And moreover, see, we live in a world of duality, whereby definitely as a condition shows, we might commit mistakes and do good as well. So why is it always that we say the good aspect of the person, leaving the bad aspect?
Thank you. Yeah, generally, let's say it's a social etiquette and also a spiritual etiquette. At the funeral of a person, you don't go, lambasting the fellow, saying all the bad things he did before, and increasing the sorrow of the family members, and so on and so forth. So generally, we see that in funerals, tributes are actually meant to glorify the deceased. And we also see the same trend in our Vaishnava culture, that when somebody passes away, we don't mention anything about his misbehavior, shortcomings. No, we don't. We simply glorify him. Now, what is the benefit of glorifying somebody who has passed away? It has two effects. First is that the soul that passes away, it shows that we appreciated whatever he did, whatever legacy he left behind, and it is being appreciated. Even though when he was alive, he might not have been appreciated at all. But when he passes away, people become very sober and they begin to reflect on the good that he had done. So it kind of sense of the soul, the departed soul, that he's been appreciated, and so he goes without looking back. The second effect is that those who are left behind, they learn some lessons from it. When you hear devotees glorified, the deceased glorified, it inspires you to also lead an exemplary life. It inspires you to also do something significant for the inspiration of others. So glorifying the person inspires the living. It appeases the dead, it inspires the living. And so by very tradition, we always glorify the devotee when he passes away. And glorifying the devotee is actually pleasing to Krishna. By glorifying the Vaishnava, Krishna is most pleased. And so Krishna will enhance, facilitate the progress of those who are glorifying that devotee. So there is a benefit for glorifying a devotee. Actually, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that he who thinks ill that a Vaishnava die, because while he's alive, he glorifies the Lord, and when he is no more, his glories are spread all over the whole world. So a Vaishnava does not die. He lives in sound. That is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So a devotee lives in sound, even though he's gone, but his activities, his achievements, his behavior sets example for those who are still alive. So he lives in sound and he inspires others to lead better lives. And that is why a devotee is glorified even when he's no more. I hope you got something out of my answer.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Hare Chakra Prabhu, you may unmute.
Hare Chakra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dandava Pranam.
All glories to
your
you,
lotus
Dev and
feet.
Srila Prabhupada. Happy
All
to
glories.
see you.
Happy to
I
see
your
you.
name. I don't
So,
see your face. I only see
no,
your name. I don't see your face.
yeah, I'm awake.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what's your
so
question?
my question is a follow-up of question to Sahadev's.
Okay.
You know, like so far as culture is concerned, like in America here, if even you go to the maternity ward and someone gives someone a newly born mother,
yeah,
before she gives breast milk to the baby, they will have to cover her with a screen because they don't want anybody to see the breast.
okay.
But like some places like the Ashanti region, you can't do that because if even you are working at the marketplace and your baby is crying for food,
You have to feed
and you
him.
don't give the food, people will yell at you.
Yeah.
Somebody will offer you, come and sit down, and right there in public, you bring out your breast and you feed the person.
Yeah.
So this cultural disparity, how do we look at it? And like there's other example that Dave gave. Like here, if somebody goes naked from the top, like the breasts are showing in a dance hall, people will be like, you get a lot of people become so lusty. But even in the Ashanti culture, when there is it doesn't like project any like lasty desire. You go to the Volta region, the same thing happens. They'll even be walking in the marketplace with the breast off, and it doesn't like incite any lasting desire. So is it that because we are trying to judge one culture from the perception of another culture that causes us to do, or I mean that is the what I want to understand.
Yes, actually, I remember when we were little children, 50, 60 years ago, even people were going naked in the villages. 60 years ago, 50 years ago, cloth was not very common in villages. People were wearing leaves, they were wearing skin, and some people were going naked. But it never disturbed anybody. We didn't see things like rape in the marketplace or anything like that. It never happened, just as you observe. But sometimes it is said when you hide something, it becomes attractive. And when you expose something, it becomes less attractive. In the olden times, maybe in African context, women will just wear their cloth, they won't cover the top, their breasts will be exposed. And nobody was agitated, nobody was disturbed about it. Yes. But in the Western world, if you go with your bare chest, a woman going with a bare chest with the breast is going to cause a lot of trouble for many people. So cultural differences are there. And that's what I was saying. The original culture has been watered down to the degree that it's so different. But the Vedic culture, which is said to be the original culture of humanity, is a very decent culture whereby one should not expose certain parts of the body, like the lower part and the breast and even the hair. A woman is supposed not to even expose her hair. So the Vedic culture from its beginning has always been like that. But then this culture has spread throughout the world and has been watered down, and in different cultures, different things have been adopted. And so when you go to different places around the world, especially in Africa, you will come across all kinds of varying cultures. And so when you juxtapose one culture on the other one, you will definitely come up with so many differences. So, but my take is that we want to bring the world back to the original culture, though it's not going to be an easy job. But by spreading the Sankirtan movement, by distributing books, Srila Prabhupada's books, gradually we are bringing everybody's mind back to that original Vedic culture. And if somehow or the other, within the next 10,000 years, if this movement can spread to every town and village, as predicted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then there will be some hope that gradually the original culture, civilized culture, Vedic culture will be adopted by the whole world. And that will really bring us joy and peace. That is my understanding.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, and my second question. Sir, I have a second question. Is it okay?
Go ahead.
Yeah, my second question is also a follow-up of Anandi Nidanam's question.
Okay.
Yeah, like this offenses thing he was talking about. Don't we think that if we concentrate too much on the offenses, then we will end up becoming more conscious of the offenses rather than promoting our devotional life? Like instead of concentrating of your devotional life, then your whole concentration is like on the offenses.
Yeah.
An example is one devotee was on the altar here in Gitanagri, and he kept asking me that, Prabhu, you have been in the altar for all these years. So when I'm doing the offering, how many rounds should I do the incense? How many rounds should I do? He was so much concerned about the number of rounds he has to. And I said, Prabhu, no. Why are you making the rounds? Why are you making the rounds your priority? Concentrating on the deities is what is very important. So put your rapt attention on the deities, and don't let the numbers counting become your like your focus.
Yeah.
So similarly, my question is, don't we think if we concentrate more on the offenses rather than be more conscious of the part of our practices, our devotional life, is that not really going to help us to advance? And then in the course of advancement, automatically the offenses will be taken care of?
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada said that if we should spell out all the offenses in the practice of bhakti, we will faint. Srila Prabhupada said like that. And of course, we see in the nectar devotion, there are many offenses. I think about 60 something, 65 or 66 offenses have been enumerated by Rupa Goswami. But the most important ones are the 10 offenses we recite every morning against the holy name. And of course, if you are doing deity service, there are also some basic offenses one should avoid. So even though Rupa Goswami has given so many offenses in the nectar of devotion, and Prabhupada translated them, but he did not emphasize so much on them. And so he said there are so many offenses, so many rules that we should abide by, that if we really want to go into those things, we would faint. So as we are saying, there are some basic offenses we should avoid, like the 10 offenses against the holy name. And if you are also doing some service on the altars, there are some basic offenses that you should avoid. Those basic ones we should abide by. We cannot, put all our energy into trying to avoid all the offenses that are enumerated in the scriptures. Then we will eventually become offensive conscious. instead of Krishna conscious. But if we just follow the basic offenses and just improve our japa, in fact, the main thing is improving our japa. And we can improve our japa, all things will fall into place. So the real offenses to be avoided is the offenses to the holy name. Because if we are able to do the holy name, to chant the holy name nicely, attentively, without offenses, all other things will fall into place. So we don't really need to bring out all the thousands of offenses in the scriptures and put it all around us. Then we will simply become offenses conscious instead of becoming Krishna conscious. But if we just observe the few important offenses that the acharyas have given us and try to improve our japa, improve our relationship, improve our service, then everything will fall in place.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Shri Govinda Prabhu, you have a question? You may unmute.
We have spent 2 hours now.
Yeah, so I guess Prabhu Govinda will be the last.
Maybe the last question. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
2 hours.
Actually, I have 3 questions.
Oh,
But since we don't have time,
yeah.
since we are behind time, I may ask only one.
Okay.
Next time.
Nice.
Yeah. Actually, I'll ask 2. But the first one is very, very short.
Okay.
We are speaking about offenses. And then in the course of your lecture, you made mention of as devotees trying to serve, the goal is to serve and our services to please Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
And so 2 devotees may be crushed because of the same service to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah.
And that we should not harbor those things in our heart.
Yeah.
But sometimes, because we are human and we are also still under the conditions, so even though the idea is to serve Srila Prabhupada, to please him, but we intend to carry this pain, and as a result, we become, enemies to each other. And sometimes devotees may not even like to talk to each other at all. So that is the first question. If we die in such consciousness, why we are not easy with our God brother? We don't want to talk to him. We don't want to go close to him. We don't want to have anything to do with him because of some previous offenses or some previous afflictions. What will happen to such a devotee after he has quit his body? That is the question number 1. And the question number 2 is that, there are, 3 moons, and each and every person is operating under a particular mode of nature.
Yeah.
And based on the gravity of our operation under a particular mode, a soul is given a particular body, sent to a particular planet based on the mode that is more dominated in its operation.
Yeah.
And so some devotees who are, acting on a very high platform, on the transcendental platform, they are given spiritual bodies, and so they are permitted to go into the spiritual world. And those acting in a mode of goodness, some go to heaven planet,
means they are given special body, and they go there because they have certain punya, certain credit that allows them to go there. And people also come down here because they are operating on the remote of passion. They are back here on Earth planet. So the Trisanku, when Vishwamrita tried to send him to heaven, they did not allow him to come. They sent him back because he did not have any qualification to go there. Now, here is a question. The scientists are doing marvelous nowadays. They are going beyond what a human being can think. I even understand they've been to moon planet, and some are even trying to stay there. They are, yeah. So that is my question. Would a scientist be able to go to heavens and stay there for their scientific advancement? And if so, then what happens to all this moves of nature and try to purify our existence and try to create punya? So if one can just go there by his scientific research, his scientific development, and bypass the nature and go and stay there, then I'm kind of wondering, is that possible that these scientists can go and live on moon as people are talking?
Thank you, Govinda Prabhu. Your first question regarding devotees bearing grudge, not talking to each other, not relating properly, and then they die with that. What happens to them? Well, we will say Krishna will decide. Krishna will decide on that. But it is not the best, actually. It's not the best to bear grudge, not appreciating other Vaishnavas, not communicating with other Vaishnavas due to certain circumstances. Of course, sometimes it is said that if somebody is offensive, better you avoid him so that he doesn't commit more offenses. So sometimes that happens not because the fellow does not want to speak to him or deal with him, but just because he wants to minimize his offenses, because the more they interact, the more he will commit offenses and the more he would endanger his life. So that is there. But generally, if a devotee does something we don't like, we should politely inform the devotee, I don't appreciate what you say, what you did, I don't like it. And then we should not bear grudge. We should not, keep grudges because it affects our devotion. So the best is to always find a way to resolve differences, to have a better relationship. We should always find a way, except in a very rare occasion, rare situation where one is constantly committing some offenses, and in order to save the person, you just avoid him. Krishna understands why one is avoiding a particular person, because you want to protect his devotional service. Krishna understands. That's what I said, that Krishna understands the situation and Krishna will deal with the situation accordingly. It is said that Yamaraj keeps a record of non-devotees and Krishna keeps a record of his devotees. So Krishna understands the situation and he will deal with it accordingly. But it is better that we should not leave this world with grudges. It is better that we leave this world, settling all our grudges and all our debts. Otherwise, those grudges and debts will bring us back into the material world, into a particular situation. So it is better to do away with all grudges, do away with all debts, do away with all bad relations before we die, so that we don't have to come back and pay off these bad relationships. The Padma Purana mentions that when you have a bad child, it is due to it is a friend. It's a friend in the previous life who was not properly treated. In other words, you are owing him, or he has done something for you and you have not reciprocated. So he comes back as your own son, but he will come as a troublesome son, a sick son. That will cause you to lose money. That will cause you to lose resources. And when you have a very good son, he said that he's a good friend in a previous life. That's what the Padma Purana says. He's a good friend in a previous life, and you have done a lot of good to him. And so he comes in this life to reciprocate with you. So whatever relationship we establish in this life will determine our next life. And it will determine the type of people we are going to attract to ourselves. So it's always better that we try as much as possible within the limits of our tolerance to do away with bad relationships, whether it's within our family, outside of our family, with friends, with mates, with God brothers, with God sisters, because these relationships will come into our next life. And so we want a better life. We want better relationships. And so if we want those things, then we must work on the current relationships with people in this world so that we can attract wonderful relationships in the next life, according to the Padma Purana. Now, for your second question about the scientists going to the moon planet, and even some of them are trying to go to Mars and Jupiter and so on, by their scientific methods. Srila Prabhupada is very strong against that. Srila Prabhupada says that that the moon planet that they claim they have gone and other planets that they are claiming they want to go are so far away from the Earth planet that it would take 20,000 light years to get there. And no human being can survive this period of time. We only have 100 years to live maximum. But to fly from this planet to the moon or to other planets will take 20,000 light years. And 1 light year is millions of earthly years. So no one can actually survive this time period to get to these planets. So Srila Prabhupada said they went somewhere else. Even though they're claiming they went to the moon, Srila Prabhupada said they did not go to the moon. They went somewhere else. In fact, that is a very controversial issue. Very, very controversial, to the point that actually one of Prabhupada's servants, he blooped, he left. When Prabhupada said they had not gone to the moon, an American disciple of Prabhupada, he insisted that they landed on the moon. He saw them on the moon. There were pictures on the television, and Prabhupada said they landed somewhere else. And as a result, that devotee gave up his Krishna consciousness. He left Prabhupada's association because of that controversy. So, but from the Vedic version, the moon planet is said to be farther away than the sun. The sun is 93 million miles. And according to the Vedic knowledge, the moon is much farther than the sun. I think the moon is another 1,800,000 miles farther than the sun. So the distance to go to the moon and back is not a small distance. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada said they went somewhere else. They did not actually land on the moon. There are many other planets close by the earth. Maybe they went there, but they said it's the moon. And nobody knows the moon atmosphere. So whatever they present, people accept it. And so that brings into question the fact that we are trying to purify our existence. We are trying to elevate ourselves to a higher platform so that we can either go to the heavenly planet or go to the spiritual world and so on. And then the scientists, they are using their scientific gadgets, means to achieve the same thing. In one sense, we all have the same goal. Actually, the scientists are looking for God. They want to find out where is that God. So they want to go to all the planets and see whether they can find God. But the scientific gadgets cannot find God. It is only by the purification of the heart and the mind that can allow us to see or find God. So they may try. They are coming out with so many wonderful results, but it will be difficult for them to find Krishna because we know that Krishna cannot be captured by scientific gadgets. Krishna can only be captured by a pure heart. And so they may be able to go to some other planets because they are within the universe. The planets are within the universe, but the distances is such huge that to go there and come back, no one will survive. So there is a big question whether they are actually going to the moon, they are actually going to these planets, or they are going to some nearby planets to the Earth planet. Actually, Prabhupada even said that they went to the Kalahari Desert. He said they went to Kalahari Desert. They didn't go to the moon. So I don't think I can give a better answer than what Prabhupada has given. Because Prabhupada, he is a transcendentalist with a transcendental vision. And following the footsteps of Shukadeva Goswami was sitting on the banks of the Yamuna or the Ganga, and he extended his spiritual vision to see all the planets in the universe. And he gave distances between the planets of the universe. The Bhagavatam 5th canto mentions the differences, the distances between the planets in the universe. Shukadeva Goswami could do that because he was already a liberated soul from the womb of his mother. And so it will be difficult to establish that one day science will be able to find God with their scientific gadgets, because Brahma, who is the greatest scientist, Brahma, who has 4 times the intelligence of an ordinary human being, says Prema Jana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hirdaya So Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sindra Achintya Swarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That God can only be seen when we have the ointment of love, when we have the salve of love anointed on our eyes. So that is the qualification for seeing Krishna. not through scientific gadgets. Scientific gadgets will help us to execute devotional service, no doubt about it, like this Zoom. It's a scientific development. We're able to meet on Zoom and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. That's great. And we doff our hearts. We salute the scientists for achieving such feats. They should develop more so that we can preach, we can reach everybody. But the highest authority in this universe is Brahma. And Brahma says, we can only see Krishna when we have developed the vision to see Krishna, when our eyes are anointed with the salve of love. So we shouldn't give up our practices. We shouldn't give up our austerities, thinking that maybe the science can develop some aircraft that can take us to the spiritual world without passing through the necessary cultivation of Krishna consciousness. As you mentioned, Trisanku. Trisanku is an example. He wanted to enter heaven, even by mystic power. But the denizens of heaven did not allow him. And so Trisanku is still hanging in space till today. So science is doing very well, no doubt about it. They have done so much. They have brought the world together as a small village now. And they are still doing more. Medicine, medical science, communication science, and so many other war science, and so many other sciences are developing at a very wonderful rate. But the prediction is that science will eliminate itself, because when they want to extend that to the kingdom of God, they will eliminate themselves. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. And devotees, thank you all for your patience, your love, your dedication. It's been 2 hours, 22 minutes. So it's 222. 2 hours, 22 minutes. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class as always. And at this point, we're going to humbly request all the devotees to kindly unmute. And then we chant the big Hare Krishna Nam and try to express our appreciation.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Rama, Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.